NASA and Lockheed Martin are now openly studying how to launch the Orion spacecraft without the costly SLS rocket. And SpaceX's Starship is at the center of that plan. With mounting budget concerns and a push for reusable systems, officials say commercial launchers could soon take over future Artemis missions. If Starship proves capable, it might change NASA's entire lunar strategy. Let's dive right in. When NASA and Lockheed Martin began openly questioning the long-term use of the Space Launch System, it wasn't a random thought experiment. It was a financial necessity. The numbers simply stopped making sense. Each SLS launch cost billions, with nothing reused and timelines stretching into years. That model worked during the Apollo era, but not in 2025, when private rockets are landing, reflying, and cutting costs by 90%. Inside NASA's own reports, auditors warn that the SLS cost structure is unsustainable beyond Artemis 4. It's a polite way of saying, if nothing changes, future missions won't fly. And that's where Lockheed Martin, the company behind the Orion spacecraft, decided to act. Instead of defending the status quo, Lockheed began exploring how Orion could survive without SLS. They quietly shifted toward a commercial strategy, one that mirrors what SpaceX accomplished with Crew Dragon. In a document titled Exploring Commercial Services for Orion, Lockheed revealed its intent to operate Orion not just as a NASA asset, but as a commercial spacecraft service. This means NASA could simply buy a mission, instead of owning the vehicle. It's a bold but logical step, lowering costs, simplifying logistics, and letting private industry handle the heavy lifting. Kirk Shyman, Lockheed's vice president and Orion program manager, explained the shift clearly. Artemis missions need to be more cost-effective and efficient. Industry must help NASA sustain Artemis while investing in future exploration systems. That's not marketing talk. It's a clear acknowledgement that NASA's future depends on commercial innovation. Under the proposed model, Lockheed takes on roles once reserved for NASA: recovery, servicing, fueling, and even production under fixed-price contracts. Instead of government funding ballooning endlessly, costs would drop with every mission. In fact, projections show Artemis 5 could cost less than half of Artemis 2, with another 30% reduction by Artemis the 8th. This isn't theory, it's already happening. The Orion production line after Artemis 2 transitions to a new contract structure that rewards cost efficiency. Step by step, the spacecraft is moving from government-owned to industry-operated. And that brings us to the next question. If Orion is going commercial, does it still need SLS? Here's where the conversation gets serious. Orion isn't a lightweight capsule. It's a 33.5-ton spacecraft when fully assembled with its European service module and launch abort system. Only a few rockets in existence can lift something that heavy beyond Earth orbit. Lockheed confirmed it's analyzing multiple launch options, American and European. Among the names on the table are ULA's Vulcan Centaur, Blue Origin's New Glenn, and yes, SpaceX's Starship. Now, this isn't speculation. Orion already proved it can fly without SLS back in 2014 during its test mission aboard a Delta IV Heavy. That mission provided crucial data showing Orion's structure, fairing, and avionics can integrate with non-SLS systems. One of the scenarios being discussed is launching Orion on a heavy-lift rocket like Vulcan and sending an upper stage, such as Centaur, separately. The two would rendezvous in orbit, dock, refuel, and head toward the moon. From a mission architecture standpoint, that's entirely feasible. And once the conversation includes in-orbit refueling, one rocket stands far above the rest: SpaceX's Starship. Starship is the disruptor in the room, designed to be fully reusable, capable of carrying up to 100 tons to lunar orbit, and operating at a cost no traditional system can match. It represents everything NASA needs but hasn't built. According to Lockheed insiders, adapting Orion to fly on Starship is less complicated than most assume. An expendable Starship upper stage, stripped of its re-entry systems, could carry Orion with room to spare. Its development cost? Roughly $40 million compared to SLS's $2 billion per launch. From a performance standpoint, the math holds up. The combination of Super Heavy plus Starship provides about 12.9 kilometers per second of delta V, exceeding SLS's total by more than 1.4 kilometers per second. That's more than enough to send Orion and its service module to lunar orbit, and do it faster. Faster trajectories mean less time spent crossing the Van Allen radiation belts, reducing crew exposure, a subtle but significant safety improvement. So technically, the case for Starship is solid. The challenge lies in logistics. Starship's launch site at Pad 39A was not originally designed for hydrogen-based systems, a key component of Orion's service module. But here's what most people forget. Pad 39A already handled hydrogen refueling during the shuttle era. Reactivating that capability is not a rebuild, it's an upgrade. More complex are the physical interfaces. Orion doesn't have lift points compatible with Starship's Mechazilla arms. Engineers would likely use a crane-assisted vertical integration process, similar to how payloads are handled at ULA. The tower would need a new crew access bridge, umbilical systems, and quick disconnect lines, but all are achievable within existing timelines. If anyone can modify infrastructure at that pace, it's SpaceX. They built their current Starship tower, from ground to orbital ready, in less than a year. Compared to NASA's multi-year pad upgrades, that's lightning speed. The payoff: a reusable, scalable launch system that cuts the cost of Artemis missions by an order of magnitude. Of course, none of this happens in a vacuum. The moment Orion launches on Starship, the SLS program faces an existential threat. Billions in contracts, thousands of jobs across multiple states, and decades of political capital hang in the balance. The SLS isn't just a rocket. It's a network of congressional interests. For some politicians, it represents local jobs and legacy more than national progress. Replacing it with Starship means facing political resistance, not engineering resistance. Yet NASA's leadership knows the clock is ticking. The fiscal year 2026 budget request openly supports transitioning Artemis to a commercial service model. It's subtle but historic. For the first time, NASA is not protecting its own rocket. It's preparing for life after it. Lockheed Martin is adapting early. Instead of fighting the commercial wave, they're learning to ride it. Once Orion becomes launcher agnostic, the implications stretch far beyond Artemis. It means any qualified provider, SpaceX, ULA, Blue Origin, or even international partners, could launch it. That flexibility unlocks a future where lunar missions are no longer once-a-decade events, but regular operations. Costs fall, mission frequency rises, and deep space exploration becomes sustainable. And here's a deeper shift. If Orion missions can be sold as a commercial service, NASA won't be the only customer. International coalitions, research organizations, and even private lunar ventures could charter Orion flights. That's how space evolves from government-driven to market-driven, where innovation is rewarded and redundancy becomes a strength, not a liability. The biggest technical challenge now is proving large-scale orbital refueling. It's the cornerstone of Starship's long-term design, but it's never been done at this magnitude. Transferring cryogenic methane and oxygen in zero gravity requires precision systems that don't yet exist in flight. However, NASA's Tipping Point program is already funding SpaceX's demonstrations. The first in-orbit propellant transfer could occur within the next year. If successful, it would validate the entire Starship Orion architecture. Lockheed, meanwhile, is preparing contingencies, including the use of storable propellants for smaller-scale missions that don't require cryogenics. The strategy is flexible. Move fast where possible, hedge where needed. This dual-path approach signals maturity and confidence. Lockheed isn't betting on hype. They're betting on progress. While most eyes remain on Artemis II's countdown and political debates in Washington, a quiet revolution is happening behind the scenes. In engineering rooms from Denver to Kennedy Space Center, NASA and Lockheed teams are drawing up mission blueprints that no longer depend on SLS. It's not rebellion, it's evolution. Exploration has always been about adapting, and the commercial partnership model has already proven itself. From resupply flights to the ISS to crewed missions, the same formula now extends to the moon. If Orion does one day ride atop Starship, it won't just represent a new configuration, it will mark a turning point. The moment NASA transitions from a legacy-driven agency to a sustainable, scalable space enterprise. And for SpaceX, it would be the ultimate validation, not as NASA's competitor, but as its enabler. What this means is simple. NASA and Lockheed Martin are no longer just dreaming of change. They're building it. Launching Orion on SpaceX's Starship could finally make deep space missions faster, safer, and far more affordable. It's the clearest proof yet that the future of exploration will be driven by innovation, not politics. And this is only the beginning. The next few years could completely reshape how we reach the moon and who gets to go there. What's your take? Should NASA rely on Starship for future Artemis missions? Tell us in the comments. This is Space Hub, where we break down the biggest shifts shaping humanity's path to space. If you found this valuable, like the video, leave a comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next.